Moo, what are you doing here?
A bitter whirlwind flourished in Marcus's chest, and his body drained of all its strength for just a few seconds. In that span of time, the pulsating agony of emptiness resonated within his veins. For in addition to his strength, his blood felt strangely absent as well. One of the monsters sitting beside Brad cackled a little.
Is this the one? The fucking grass eater that's chatting up your girl?
The monster had sickly green skin, long spindly fingers, and grotesque toes. He only wore a pale brown loincloth around his waist. Brad just smiled and leaned back a little more comfortably in his seat.
So what do you want? Here to finish what we started? I walked away from that delicious little piece of ass like you wanted. If you start something here, my friends and I will deal with you accordingly.
Another male monster, one who looked like a crude amalgamation of a horse and a purple clump of clay, sat forward a little.
Maybe we should just whip his ass, and then tell HR that he attacked us. It will be his word against ours.
Now. Moo here's pretty new with the dungeon, so he doesn't know how it works around here. But we're not here to discuss that. My question still hasn't been answered.
Marcus balled his fists together, but he held them behind his back. He breathed in and willed his patience to blossom. When he exhaled, he imagined his rage flowing out like exhaust gas.
I'm supposed to work with you today.
For a brief moment, Brad just stared at him. With each second that passed, his grin grew wider. When he laughed out loud, the 4 other monsters who sat beside him also laughed.
If your room is so well staffed, though, I can let Andrew know that me being here would be a waste.
Brad stood up and started moving toward him.
Nonsense. My friends are just chilling out in my chamber until the alarm goes off. Since we had a party of intruders yesterday, I doubt we'll have any today. Come, make friends with us.
I'd rather not.
He stepped over to the closest couch and then sat upon it. A dark twinkle glimmered in Brad's eyes as he sat back down. He stared at Marcus and hunched over slightly, as if he were ready to pounce.
So, what's your name, Moo?
Marcus gritted his teeth together.
My name is Marcus, not Moo.
One of the other monsters, who looked like a giant yellow mutant canary of some kind, said,
I like Moo better.
So do I. So listen here, Moo. I would recommend you keep your distance away from Karen.
Oh? And if I don't?
The other monsters all chuckled darkly, but Brad just stared harder.
You see, she and I had a fling. Do you know what that is, Moo?
I don't care what you did with her. It doesn't matter.
Brad licked his lips in a deliberately slow, methodical way.
It doesn't matter, huh? Well, since you don't care, I'm going to talk about it with my friends.
A dirty laugh escaped him.
Hey, John.
A sickly-looking vampire, the 4th goon in the bunch, perked up. He wore lots of white and pink, as if he were a cotton candy swirl or something.
Yeah?
Did you write that message in the bathroom like I told you?
John nodded like a poorly crafted bobblehead.
Sure did. I did it in black Sharpie, just like you said.
Good. Hey, Moo. You know that black hole that makes up her face?
Marcus bit the insides of his lip, but lava had started flooding the insides of his stomachs. It rose higher and higher the longer that Marcus stared at the blue man.
It's not just for showing emotions. She sucks harder than any bitch I've ever met. In fact, she's absolute.
Before Marcus realized it, the couch right beside him had left his hands. It sailed through the air toward the group of 5 on the far side of the room. Brad and the others managed to duck out of the way, but the couch still caused a tremendous crashing sound to resonate through the rooms. Broken couch debris lay clustered on top of the spot where Brad had been sitting. The other monsters stared at Marcus with wide eyes, but Brad? Brad smiled. He reached around his waist and pulled out his bullwhip.
Isn't it a shame when fellow employees go completely berserk for no reason? Let's kill him, and then tell HR about how he viciously attacked us.
The pale horse creature smiled.
I think he said some Minotaur supremacist comments too.
Brad laughed.
I think I heard them too.
He pointed at Marcus.
Spill his blood, boys.
Marcus took a step back as the monsters rushed him. John the Vampire was the first one to him, and his lithe movements were quite impressive. When Marcus kicked out, the vampire slipped around his hoof. The vampire pulled out a slender dagger and almost cleaved open Marcus's hip. The sickly green monster grabbed one of Marcus's arms, a wide smile on his face. His grin faded as soon as Marcus planted his other hoof into the monster's chest. The green monster stepped back, and he held his chest with all the care one might show a beloved child. Marcus was about to advance on him, but the end of Brad's bullwhip bit into his cheek. White-hot pain ignited in his senses. Marcus stepped back and glanced at Brad. The blue man's arms had stretched longer than before, and it gave the whip extra length. A moment later, the canary's big foot clipped the back of Marcus's knee. He fell forward, and the horse creature drop-kicked him in the side of the face. John stabbed Marcus in the shoulder a couple of times, and he cackled as he did so. From across the room, Brad's whip struck one of the knife wounds where John's knife had plunged into. Meanwhile, the green creature, the horse monster, and the giant bird stomped on Marcus's arms and body. The vampire stood back and laughed wildly.
Is this it? You threatened to choke me out with my bullwhip?
His weapon cut open a spot of flesh just under Marcus's right ear.
Come on, bitch. Choke me. Choke me!
When Marcus tried to push up, one of the other monsters would jump on top of him, knocking him back down.
You're so pathetic,
Brad said, and he whipped Marcus's back.
Did you get mad that I was talking about Karen? That little whore loves dick. She loves it. She worshipped my dick, and she begged for it all the time. Does that make you feel good, Mumu?
Marcus gritted his teeth as he tried to push himself up again. The lava had become level with the back of his throat, and he could almost spit it out. The green creature delivered a hard elbow on Marcus's shoulder, but he still rose. As he did, he grabbed the horse monster by an arm. The horse monster yelped, and the others punched and kicked at Marcus's face, legs, and arms. John's blade bit into Marcus's hip. The bullwhip caught him at the base of the neck. Marcus just roared, and then he slammed his open palm into the horse monster's face. The monster's nose crinkled under Marcus's might, and then Marcus grabbed a whole handful of his face. Punches kept coming, and the bullwhip cut open a spot on his knee. Marcus twirled his body and brought the horse creature around like a club. His first victim, aside from the horse monster, was the canary. The horse creature crunched into the bird's body, and the pair of them collapsed into a pile. However, Marcus didn't let go of the horse monster at first, and tightened his clutch on the monster's snout. The bones in the face crackled like thin timber. Marcus lifted the creature up and then hurled him at Brad, who was across the room. Brad got out of the way, but at the very least, it washed the delight from the blue man's face. Marcus whirled around and batted John's knife away at the last moment. He punched at the vampire several times, but the vampire managed to dodge each and every one of Marcus's attacks. Despite his dexterity, John's face was painted in unease. The green creature grabbed one of Marcus's arms again, stopping the punch. At the same time, Brad's bullwhip struck Marcus in the left eye. His vision went red, and great pain radiated everywhere. He closed his eye and front-kicked John in the face as the vampire tried to dive in for another stabbing. The hoof caught John right in the side of the face, and the vampire stumbled for a moment. Marcus brought his leg back and then kicked with his other hoof again. Once more, the green creature got struck in the chest. He fell to the ground and grasped his chest again. This time, he didn't retreat, but formed into a small ball on the ground. Marcus used that same hoof and slammed it on the back of the creature's head, hard. The green creature twitched, and then fell still. Marcus ducked as the bullwhip came forward again. The snapping of it exploded by his ear. John came in again, but Marcus backstepped away from him and swatted the knife swipes. The horse creature charged him, perhaps hoping to knock Marcus to the ground. However, Marcus was a minotaur. He squared his shoulders, planted his hooves firmly, and then stopped the horse creature. The bullwhip struck him between the eyes. Had Marcus not moved at the last moment when he did, his other eye would have been destroyed. He could already tell something bad happened to his left eye. Marcus raised both hands and then brought them down as fists against the spine of the horse creature. A loud snapping noise echoed out, and the horse fell still. Marcus picked up the horse body and used it as a shield against the barrage of bullwhips that came his way. The canary and John kept their distance, but Brad struck out from across the room. His whipping arm kept stretching and retracting, and it was almost hypnotic to look at. Marcus ran toward Brad, all the while using the horse as his protection. However, when Marcus got to where Brad had stood, the tall man had stepped to the side. The vicious whip snapped against one of Marcus's fingers, and he dropped the bloody horse body. John rushed in and slashed his knife again. The canary got a little closer, but he didn't approach Marcus just yet. Brad kept his whip back as well, although his eyes watched Marcus menacingly. Marcus kept moving, but he never turned his back toward the other two. John's fluid movements were hard to keep up with, especially because every inch of Marcus's body throbbed. The vampire suddenly started drifting to the left, which forced Marcus to turn his whole body. His lungs contracted and expanded desperately. The whip sailed through the air and struck Marcus in the ribs. It hit him another time in the face, right under his right eye, and the third time, it caught him in the chin. Blood seeped off of Marcus's body like sweat. John came in, and Marcus caught his knife hand in his big palm. He pulled in and then delivered a hard axe kick to John's shoulder. The vampire buckled under the strength. Marcus wiggled the knife free, but then buried it into the vampire's forehead. He grabbed John's head in both hands, twisted, and then pulled. The canary threw up as Marcus tossed the vampire's head on the floor. Brad started whipping more angrily, and Marcus rushed him. He caught whip snaps on the nose, the shoulder, and the knee. Marcus didn't care. When Brad moved, Marcus pivoted and then lunged. His massive hands gripped Brad's right arm, the one with the whip. Brad tried to wriggle free, but Marcus spun around and brought the blue man to the ground with one of his expert throws. When Brad hit the ground, the man gasped. Marcus didn't let go, and he twisted the arm at savage angles. The canary slammed his fist into Marcus's face. Pain ignited in his senses, and Marcus stepped back. Then he stepped forward and pierced the canary's chest with his left horn. Warm blood that wasn't his own flowed into his one good eye, and Marcus squeezed it shut. He lifted his head and felt the full weight of the canary on his neck. It didn't matter. Brad was grappled, and there was no way that Marcus was going to let go. Brad screamed out, even yelling for help. Marcus brought his hoof where he thought Brad's face would be. The screaming stopped, and it was replaced by a warbled gurgle. Blinded, Marcus felt around for the whip. Once he found it, he planted his weight on Brad's chest and then pulled the whip free. It wrapped around Brad's throat, and Marcus pulled it tightly.
Karen is a sweet girl, And you're never going to hurt her again.
An angry voice screamed out.
Hey, what the hell's going on here?
Small hands started tugging on Marcus's grip on the whip.
Hey, let go, damn it.
He paused before he said,
Do it.
Something hard hit the back of Marcus's head, and then everything stopped. When Marcus opened his eye again, he found himself lying in an infirmary bed. Thick bandages covered his left eye. It felt strange, and acid filth flowed at the back of his throat. He had bandages everywhere else as well. There were other beds in the infirmary, but they were empty. Andrew flew into the room through the only door. The small imp didn't have a cigar. His eyes had streams of actual fire flickering out through the irises. He flew up to Marcus and punched him in the mouth. While it didn't hurt, it still surprised Marcus.
You stupid bastard! You got any idea what you just did? What the hell were you thinking?
Marcus winced.
They were saying terrible things about this sweet girl, and I
don't care if they were talking about your mom. You started a fight and killed 4 of our guys. You stupid... I should be fired, you stupid side of beef. If I had my way, I'd have you thrown in prison to rot. We're down 6 people, including you stupid son of a heifer. What happens if we get raided, huh? The chances of them stupid murder hobos getting to the boss is higher now.
Marcus just lowered his head. Andrew punched him again, this time in the chest.
You one lucky bastard. The boss used magic to watch the whole thing. She saw everything.
She did?
Yeah, she did.
He took a deep breath and then visually stopped shaking. The fire stopped fuming from his eyes.
I want to make something perfectly clear, alright? Had I known about Brad's inappropriate behavior regarding Miss Karen, I'd have stepped in from the beginning. The boss decided, since that was the case...
He pointed toward Marcus.
You're not getting fired. But you ain't getting your left eye restored.
Marcus reached up and touched the bandages.
You mean, it really was?
He bit the bottom of his lip. Andrew nodded.
Dennis had to clean out your socket. It was grosser than my mom's cunt on a payday.
Marcus sneered.
Man, why would you say that? That's your mom. That's nasty.
I know, but you should have seen your eye.
Marcus lowered his gaze for a moment.
What about Brad? Is he one of the ones who are, dead?
No, but he's been suspended for a long-ass time. And even if he wasn't suspended, you broke him so bad he had to be taken to a real hospital. Why do you think I was so fucking mad? Once Dennis fixes you up, sans eye, then we're gonna be down 5 people. You're not fired, but you're getting written up. Fuck up again, and you'll be let go.
He started to float to the door.
You got 5 minutes. Make it quick. Leave the left eye empty. Boss's orders.
A massive green square blob slithered into the room, and it left a thick green slime trail behind it. Marcus winced as Dennis came ever closer. The last time that Dennis worked on him, Marcus's insides nearly twisted all the way around within him. It felt so gross. A gooey tendril extended from Dennis's cubed body and gently lifted Marcus up. Slowly, Marcus got swallowed by Dennis's mass, and the green flowed into each and every wound. Marcus's muscles twitched as the magic started to heal him. His body convulsed in overdrive as Dennis's goo filtered into his now empty left eye socket. A minty explosion took hold of his mind, and he wiggled as he floated within Dennis's jello-like form. Marcus opened his mouth to scream, and Dennis flowed into him. Marcus's gum damage, his sore throat, and his inner cheek bites where his teeth had crunched down started to repair. It seemed to go on forever, until Dennis sort of spat him back out onto the infirmary floor. Green goo evaporated from Marcus's body. He removed the bandages, but left the one on his eye for last. When he took it off, a sense of dread overtook him. Andrew threw him something, and when Marcus reached out to catch it, he missed it. When he finally picked it up, he winced as he recognized it.
Wear it till you find something cooler. You got the rest of the day to figure out how to fight with one eye. Come back tomorrow, all right?
Marcus put the brown leather patch over his eye. The patch was made for a creature smaller than him, so it no doubt looked comical at best.
Yes, sir. Thank you for giving me another chance.
Andrew pointed toward him.
Wasn't me. It's the boss. Send a thank you card or something. Now, get out of here before I make you finish your shift.
Marcus left the infirmary and made his way to the teleportation center that would take him home. To his great relief, Karen was on lunch.